in time. All right, so to that point, I'm going to go ahead and kick this conversation off. Tonight is episode 3 of season 2 of CultTV. I'm going to start with a few updates. So I started doing a weekly roundup called the Cult List. The Cult List focuses on just anything that I find cool. So some weeks it might be events, some weeks it might be art, some weeks it might be just anything that I think is beneficial to someone other than myself. And some weeks that it might be a list or a combination of those things. So tomorrow morning you can expect to see the Cult List on your timeline Wednesday morning. When you see it, please go and click through it. There's going to be a lot of cool stuff there. I'm focusing on opportunity. Pursuing opportunities in the forms of contests, in the form of grants, in the form of fellowships, internships, externships. That's what I'm talking about in this week's Cult List. That's on top of my priorities list for 2018 because you don't want the difference between pursuing your dream or deepening your dream and not doing that to be resources or money, and those opportunities can get you that. And when you apply, even if you don't win or if you don't make the cut or whatever the opportunity is, you still get exposure. The right people are still seeing your work, and you're going to be creating work anyway, so you might as well apply it to something that might push you in a direction that you've never imagined, that might really maximize everything that you're offering. So check on that, the Cult List, tomorrow morning during your commute time. So around 8 a.m. that's when the Cult List will be up. Please go and make sure that you like it. I want to, along those same lines, I also want to drop a few pieces of information that I found useful about Instagram and the algorithm. So everybody that has a brand or a business or a service that's being pushed through Instagram, everybody's been talking about, how the algorithm has changed. It's not in chronological order. That has been the case since 2016. So it's time for us to move past the fact that Instagram's timeline is not in chronological order. Berto's eating from the algorithm. I see you. It's time for us to move past that, though, because it's not going to come back. Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook have recognized the power of influencer marketing. They recognize the power that these platforms have given us to have a voice and to be compensated for those voices and to build a following off that. And so now they're trying to push us into taking paid media opportunities. So basically putting money behind our posts in order for them to be seen. And they also want to supposedly make the experience better for regular users. So we just gotta accept anybody that's making money from Instagram or creating a movement from Instagram. You just gotta accept that the formula is going to shift, and you just gotta be able to adapt. So along those same lines, if you haven't thought about this and you are a business owner, basically the formula is going to favor posts that get high engagement as soon as they post. Posts that are relevant to whoever's viewing them, posts that are within your network. So if you are friends with someone, we're not friends with someone on Instagram, but if you interact regularly with a certain type of content on Instagram, then it's going to show you more of that content to create a better user experience for you. It's also going to focus on timeliness, and it's also going to focus on content type. And I'm hearing that, the formula is going to favor videos. I don't 100% agree with that. I think for that, you have to look at what you do, like your actual industry and the actual types of content you create, and decide from there if you want to prioritize video or not. Along those same lines, in order to get a better understanding and a better grip on, Instagram and how to adapt, Google Jumper Media, they have a comprehensive guide to understanding and making the most of Instagram and its recent changes. Some of the things they touched on are the 10-10-10 hashtag strategy. So using 10 popular hashtags, 10 medium traffic hashtags, and 10 smaller hashtags. And so the goal of using different hashtags that have a different value, varying volumes of posts within them. The point is so that you can reach the top of, your content can be at the top of those lists. So that's why they're advocating the 10-10-10 hashtag strategy. As soon as you post something, it will help for you to pop onto Instagram Live, or to even just alert people in your story like, hey, go to my page to see what I just posted. And then also one thing that can help is, hey Asia, one thing that can help is learning what's working. So looking at people, not just your competitors, but looking at people that are indirectly related to your product. So if you sell lashes, then you want to look at what content is working for makeup artists, and also experiment and try it and just see what happens. The shifts are going to keep coming. It's going to get harder and harder to cut through the noise, so you always have to be prepared and ready to move and innovate. Last thing on the marketing tip is that, I saw a lot of people, right, Berto is bringing me to my next point about engaging people in the comments. I saw 2016 and 2017 being full of people saying, using the word influencer and using the word storytellers, and really, really, really focusing on that. And that's awesome. I think that storytelling and influencer marketing, it really makes sense. Like, it seems to be the logical thing, since everyone's so connected to social media. Traditional marketing is just not going to cut it in the same way, not as effectively as storytelling has been. But I think for 2018, the next step, and Berto, thank you so much for alluding to that, is that you need to focus on community around your content. So it's not enough for you to say, oh, I have 10,000 followers, and, if I post something, then they will like it. That's not enough. Like, you have to be able to, can you shift these people and convert them to another platform so you're not reliant on just Instagram? Like, can you convert them to a Facebook group? Can you convert them to even a texting thread or a text chain? Can you convert them to an email newsletter following? You need to be able to build a group or community around what you do. Call people. I want to give a shout out to Maya Elios. She's in the marketing blogging space, and I think she puts out a weekly email, and in the email she said, sign up if you want someone from my team to call you. And she's one person, and it seems to be, her marketing seems to be person-centered. But I did it with no expectation of what was going to happen. But someone actually called me and talked to me about my marketing goals and what I'm working on. And she didn't try to sell me anything. She didn't say, well, that's tight, but if you buy Maya's latest content package, then it will help you triple your business. Like, she didn't do any of that. All she did was listen to, made me feel heard, and, and she engaged the community around what she was doing. So yeah, meet up with people, go to their events. As Berto said, comment, text people, encourage them to support, people that you support so that you can build your network. Don't make it a one-way street. Don't always be just putting content out but not listening and, being in an ivory tower. Engage your super fans, people that always like your stuff. If you convert your Instagram to a business profile, you'll be able to see those people who always interact with you. Interact with them. Reach out to them. So yes, 2018 Instagram media. Check out Jumper Media for a guide and some tactical things, and focus on building community around your brand. So that's that. I wanted to also shift into a personal matter for me. So there's been a lot of conversation recently around, cutting people off, and, you know, my block game strong, and, you know, Cardi has that verse, quick to cut and they go off, so don't get comfortable. So there's a lot of conversation, and mainly from women, about, you know, being proud of their block button. I personally am super proud of my block button. I exercise it faithfully, and I'm excited about that. You know, I don't have a problem doing that. Along with that, there's a viral meme that went around about a girl walking in on her man in bed with his ex and leaving. She left before he realized that she was there, but she like blocked him immediately after that. Like, she didn't wait for him to say, you know, baby, I'm sorry, or this and that, or she didn't, you know, engage them in a confrontation. She just blocked him, and a lot of women were applauding it. You know, I think I saw it like on a couple of Instagram pages, like, she, you know, this is tight, like, she did that so smooth, you know, like, a lot of people commending her. And then along those same lines, I hear some pushback about cutting people off and saying that, you know, ghosting is not self-care. And I just wanted to share my take on it as a serial dater, as a trusted friend to a lot of people, as a listener, as someone who does a lot of has a lot of relationship discussions and thinks about that a lot. And as someone with a background in psychology, here's my take. I think that women love their block button. They like ghosting, and they like celebrating cutting people off because they're entering their whole phase. Their whole phase. I just wanted to, you know, reiterate that and really emphasize the L, because, you know, that people might confuse it with being in your whole phase, which is, you know, a derogatory term given to the time in your life where you explore and you try different things, and, you know, you may have a whole phase, you might not. But yes, whole, says Alicia, as Alicia has pointed out. But the whole phase comes when you've explored, whether you want to call it hoeing or not, whatever, that's your business, no judgment here. Once you've explored, once you know what you like, once you recognize what's real, it becomes crystal clear when whatever you're doing or whatever you're getting isn't it. So that's part of the whole phase. The other part of the whole phase is that your satisfaction is self-motivated and you have a personally rooted peace of mind. So it's not that, you know, like, oh, like being in a relationship would make me feel complete or make me feel whole. That is extra to you. And so during your whole phase, you might cut someone off for a petty reason because you know what you want and you know they're not it. And so you might just be ready to peace out early in the game. You might ghost people. I don't advocate ghosting, but I think there are circumstances in which ghosting is appropriate. So if there's a clear break and there's a clear understanding of you two having different intentions and different goals for a relationship, then it's perfectly okay to ghost. So ghosting, like dipping without warning, blocking without warning, because you guys are grown and y'all both understand y'all want different things. And then in your whole phase, you'll know that something is not for you before you even get started. Everybody hates Marcus. I see your question, but I don't understand it. What do you mean with the question mark? The whole phase. We're talking about the whole phase. Whole with an L. Yeah, and so one more point I want to add to this conversation about the whole phase is that I think that we're missing something. When we celebrate ghosting, we celebrate blocking, using our block button. When we celebrate those moments, what's missing from the conversation is that the whole phase is not about hurting the other person. So you don't ever want to leave. You never want to ghost somebody on some like, let me push them away so that, you know, it will hurt them. It has to be about you, or else it won't work. Like, you'll ghost them and then always wonder what they're up to. Yes, the whole phase. So it's not about hurting someone else. Also, being whole and exploring your whole phase, it's not about avoiding pain or loneliness. So I'm not saying that, being a whole person, no one will ever hurt you again. No one will break your heart. No, that's not what I'm saying. In your whole phase, you'll recognize that that is a possibility, but you'll be able to move confidently once you come across something real, and be willing to risk that. So that's what happens in the whole phase. The whole phase is not about perfection. So it's not about, I'm whole, so I never need the company of somebody else, or I never want affection or attention, or I just know and understand everything. That's not what the whole phase is. You will have questions, but you accept that, sometimes you don't understand shit, and you have to explore it just like everybody else. The whole phase is also not about not making mistakes. So as a whole person, that doesn't mean that you won't regret cutting someone off, or feel that, question like, am I doing the right thing by cutting this person off? Being whole does not mean that question will not be there, or that you won't make a mistake. It just means that if you do make that mistake, you will be able to own it, because you recognize that imperfection, loneliness, making mistakes, that is part of being a human being. It's accepting yourself and being able to celebrate yourself and having a peace of damn mind. So that's what the whole phase is about. So I just want to pause for a quick second. Everybody Hates Marcus says, I mentioned that the whole phase was a derogatory term, and I was just asking how it was. So the whole phase, I feel like it's a derogatory term, because everybody dates, everybody explores, everybody experiments. Some people more than others. Some people in different ways than other people. But there's like this conversation of around oh, your girl's still in her hoe phase, or oh, you never want to wife up a chick while she's still in her hoe phase. That figuring out space. Usually, I think people characterize it in your very late teens, early 20s. I don't like the term hoe phase, because I think that it makes it seem like it's a crime to learn about yourself, and when people feel stigmatized about something, they're less likely to do it in a safe way. So if you are in a hoe phase, because the people are calling it a hoe phase, you might be less likely to tell your partner that you're sleeping with other people. And that's important information if y'all are not protecting yourselves, or however you choose to protect yourself or not. So that's why I feel like the hoe phase is a derogatory term. Last thing, I'm kicking this conversation off here, and I love the questions and the comments that are coming in. I'm going to pick this up again on the Court Report. You might have seen her on my show. It's from Courtney. She's the host of the Court Report podcast. We were on live with her. She was having episode. Her first episode for this season was with Avery. What I need you guys to do, if you want to continue this conversation, is to tune into episode 3 of the Court Report. When it comes out, I will definitely keep y'all updated. And go follow Courtney at La Court. I will also tag her in my Insta story so that y'all can follow her. And you can catch us there and catch me there occasionally on her show. I'm gonna be the Gail to her Oprah, the resident homie, just chopping it up about things. And again, her first episode is with Avery Leak. He's the owner of Avery's Bar on H Street. Head to her page and listen to episode 1. Was such a bomb conversation. Alright, so I've talked my head off. But today, let's get into today's guest. I'm chatting with Alicia Davis. She's the founder of Cubicles and Curls. It is a blog and a community focused on providing hair inspiration and career advice. She's also a Forum Beauty ambassador, and she was Miss Black and Natural New York 2016. I am so super excited to bring Alicia here, or, to chat with her on Instagram Live, because she's a Hoya. We both went to Georgetown together. She adds a different perspective to conversations that we have about being a creative or being an entrepreneur. So often people want to, just focus on like, I'm a boss, you're a worker, or, I have a dollar and a dream, or, grind from your 9 to 5 so you can, quit your day job and eventually, make your 5 to 9, which is your side hustle, your full-time passion. But, Alicia is managing two passions. She has her full-time job and she has Cubicles and Curls. So I wanted her to add that perspective. And then also, this episode, I did a poll, and I want to give people what they want. So I asked people, would you guys be interested in a natural hair episode? And I got a lot of pushback from people on the marketing side. People were saying like, oh, it's oversaturated. It's too heavy. Like, talking about hair. Oh my gosh, it seems like too much. And, just people being kind of tired of the hair conversation. So I wanted to get a perspective of somebody that is actively in that space. Cubicles and Curls is pushing that conversation forward. So I wanted to hear from her what she thinks about that. And the last reason I wanted to talk to Alicia today is because just like y'all, I'm growing. CultTV is a growing brand. Cult Classic, me as a blogger and a writer and a marketer, like I'm growing. And as you grow, you will get opportunities to push paid content and to have sponsorships. And people are sensitive to that. People, meaning your audience, is sensitive to that. So I wanted to have her speak to that. She's a former beauty ambassador. She obviously has experience working with paid and sponsored content and managing that, the stickiness around that. So I wanted to get her ideas on the ethics and the etiquette behind that. So I'm going to go ahead and tag her in because she can tell you better than I can tee it up. So give me 1 second, guys. And I'm going to drink some water. So I'm running my mouth.
Hold on, I'm a little short. Let me put a pillow underneath me. I didn't realize. Hi.
Hey, girl, hey.
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm going to turn this up so I can hear you. Okay, so let's get into it. I did the 3-sentence introduction, but tell us what I missed. If you feel comfortable, could you speak to your full-time passion as well?
Okay, so my name is Alicia. As Candace said, we went to Georgetown together. Can you hear me fine? Good. All right, so we went to Georgetown together. I studied international health. Healthcare has always been a yes twist. Okay, Bert is my hype man, but sorry. So I studied health. Health has always been a passion of mine. I wanted to be a doctor. When I got to Georgetown, I realized that the healthcare field was so expansive and there were so many opportunities. Right now, I'm a project manager. I work in kind of like the health tech space. So, sorry, these comments, that's distracting. How do you do that?
I peep them every now and then. But you can go ahead and respond to them.
All right, sorry. Anyway, so I'm a project manager. I work in health tech space. So really just merging technology and the new technology coming out and helping providers and helping the traditional systems in place really incorporate that technology. Healthcare is one of the last fields to innovate. And that's partly because it's so regulated. So I'm enjoying kind of being in the forefront of the space of seeing all these new technologies emerge, mobile technologies, telehealth, even just like data analytics that can predict how your disease is going to prognose and kind of cure it from there. I'm interested in that stuff. As you can tell, I'm very passionate.
Yes.
And then outside of work, what I do is I blog for Cubicles and Curls. And Cubicles and Curls is a blog I created around, I think, 2013 or 2014 for naturals in the workplace. So when I created this blog, it was still a little bit taboo to be wearing curly hair to work, let alone on interviews. But when I graduated, I had just got my hair the way I wanted to. I grew out my perm. I was wearing it curly. And I was like, I'm not getting heat damage for anyone. So I'm going to these interviews with my curly hair. But I noticed that, even for my mom, for my friends, that was everyone's freaking out about it. So I started the blog as a way to show people like how I did my hair for work. So it wasn't just twist outs. You know, I showed like different, it's so distracting. Anyway, I showed like, you know, different kind of bun styles, different like updos that I do. And then from there, that's how it started. And from there, it kind of also grew into me giving career advice. So I do career articles. I talked a lot about when I was unemployed, how I managed that. And so the blog has grown from there. And I think it really resonates with people. One, because there's still a lot of people, I know like everyone says natural hair conversations played out, but I'm always surprised where there's still a lot of people who have a lot of questions, and they're still like baby naturals, still trying to figure it out. Like, what's a leave-in conditioner? What's a twist out? You know? So even though so many of us have gotten so far, there's still like a lot of us that are just now joining. I don't necessarily think it's stale, but you know, sorry, can you hear me? Did it go out?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, there are a lot of voices, but I think a lot of people have things to contribute. And then just for that, I'm actually Miss Black and Natural 2017 and 2018. I'm the first Miss Black and Natural in New York. It was started in Houston, so I'm the first New York one, and I'm hoping to bring the pageant live here by the end of the year, if not early 2019. So I think that's all my identities.
Okay. And I just wanted to quickly apologize for making that mistake, because I think that is so major that you are the first, and that you've been, you know, consecutively Miss Black and Natural New York. So that's awesome. Belated congratulations to you for that. So you talked about your why. So let's like quickly like dip our toe in the oversaturated conversation. You kind of alluded to it. What really separates cubicles and curls from other natural content that might be out there?
Yeah, so I think part of the reason I started Cubicles and Curls also was every time I looked at natural hair bloggers, they were like, you know, creative. So they didn't really work traditional jobs. Like they had the power to like, you know, wear their hair as big as they want, change up the colors. It was more of like a carefree Black girl lifestyle. Right. And while that's me on the weekends, that's not me usually, you know? So it's like, I wasn't seeing a lot of like, all right, curls in the workplace. What does that actually look like? If I'm not wearing like these huge fros or these like, you know, really creative styles, I can't do that at my workplace. What does that look like? But I still want to be more than just a regular twist out a bun. So I think honestly, I write for the girls who, you know, have to show up to work. Sometimes, you know, the twist out doesn't work, so they have to pull in the bun. Let's make it cute. I blog for the girls who aren't into DIY, because I'm not a DIY girl. I blog for the girls who, you know, still want that whole salon feel. Like I do salon reviews because I do my hair usually, but sometimes I just want someone else to do it. Yes. But we're very finicky about our hair and who touches it. So like, I'm like, let me help y'all out by, you know, sacrificing myself. So I think that's how I separate. I'm not into DIY, so like people will put food in their hair and that's cool for you, but I'm not gonna do it. Show me where the products are. I review products for people. Dry bar is okay if you find the right person. So that's my point too. You know, you gotta like reviews. I even went to Dry Bar one time and I, you know, was like, all right, this is the girl who does natural hair, and I let everybody know. So yeah, I kind of view myself as like the sacrificial lamb for everyone. I'm willing to try different things with my hair. And you know, lazy naturals who got to go to work and got to look cute. That's who I blog for.
I love that you are approaching it from, you know, who is it for? Because I think that really guides, you know, what you do and how you do it. Farts.
We've all had those bad dry bar experiences.
Definitely have.
You have to research when you go to hair salons. Like you can't just show up in people's chair anymore. That's not what we do with curly hair.
Exactly. So who inspires you? It sounds like you recognize the void here and you've created content to fill it, which is awesome. But who inspired you when you entered the natural hair blogging space?
Yeah, so I stand for Natural 85. She is my favorite person in the whole wide world. I just love her. The things that woman does with hair, she's like a magic person. I like her because one, like again, I get bored with my hair or slash like sometimes I wake up and it's not doing what it did yesterday. I like her because she's very yes. get so upset about that. But she's very creative. Like she comes up with like she treats her hair almost like art, you know? Like she can come up with a random style that you're just like, how did you even envision this, let alone execute it? So she's one of my favorites. Plus she has like a great positive attitude, and that's really interesting to watch. So she inspired me a lot. I think that's who I was watching when I first started going natural. She has this like magic type 4 hair that like, you know, just behaves very well, and I aspire for my hair to also do that. I also met her in person, and she was so sweet. Yes, I met her at BeautyCon last year, and like I was like fangirling so hard because I love her so much.
That is I get it, because as someone who also went through the transition back into being natural, having natural hair, like she was also one of the people that I looked at a lot. And yes, she does have magical ass type 4 hair, like
Magic.
like, but yeah, so she is definitely awesome. One thing I also want to highlight is that I saw a Instagram post that really was like, you know, highlighting the founding mothers of the natural hair blogging movement. Hey, Cord, that's the host of the Court Report, who I was referring to earlier. But I saw this post, and you know, Natural 85 was one of the people listed as the founding mothers of the online natural hair care movement. And the rest of the women appeared to be under 45. So basically, we're talking about a very young subculture movement, right? And that is really, if you think about like the skate movement, or even, you know, the tech movement and everything surrounding that, like those are movements that have a deeper history, but we're still seeing history being made with natural hair care content in the industry and culture. So I wanted to know
that is true. The brown skin 3Bs and then the light skin 4Cs. Everyone forgets them.
Right. We gonna get to that. We gonna get to the color, hairism, colorism, influencerism. We're gonna get to all that. But so how do you feel about you and cubicles and curls being a part of history, really?
I guess I never thought of it like that, but no, I think it's cool. Like I love that our generation right now is very much like tapping into the creative side. Almost everyone I know is like a slash something, you know? So like project manager slash blogger, you know, like whatever, lawyer slash blogger. I think that's so dope. I love being a part of the natural hair movement because I mean, I don't know exactly how old it is. I know I really didn't start hearing about it until around 2011, you know? So that's almost 6 years, 7 years. That's not that long. And I'm glad that, like, you know, I've been able to contribute my piece to it. You know, my little tips, what I've learned, sharing. So it's been honestly really great to see it grow. And really just grow with it. You know, my hype man in the comments. I love y'all.
Okay, so you talked about you mentioned, you know, people being a slash, like having multiple titles that include their passion projects and their interests as well. For you, why did you opt to be a slash person, meaning somebody that has the passionate, you know, full-time thing that, you know, gets you going, and then, you know, your cubicles and curls, which is your baby. Why aren't you trying to do cubicles and curls full time?
So I think me personally and a few other people are like this. I've never been the type of person, I mean, you know me from college. I've never been the type of person who like could just do one thing. Like I have a multitude of interests and they don't necessarily all connect very neatly, you know? I think the way I kind of approach having a job is either your job is your passion or your job funds your passion, kind of, you know? So right now I'm at the phase where kind of my job does both, right? So like, even though the job I'm in now, it's not necessarily where I want to like end my career, but it's a stepping stone on the way to there. I've always had these dreams, right? Like I want to like be a big force in healthcare. What works for me is that me being in a career is actually related to my blog. So I was able to kind of merge both. Like you can't write about career if you don't have one, you know, if you don't have a traditional career. So it kind of lends itself into constantly inspiring me into like new blog posts, into new things that I want to share. Um, yeah, so that's really kind of what it is. Like, I'm never going to be satisfied just doing one thing. If it's cubicles and curls alone, I'm going to find something else I want to do. Like, you know, like maybe I want to start a business. Like, I've always been a kind of putting my hand in a lot of pots kind of person.
Okay, that makes sense. If so, do you think you mentioned, you know, being kind of in a sweet spot of, you know, having a job that supports what you do and what you create with cubicles and curls? Do you think that is like the cheat code? Is that what everybody who is, you know, trying to, like, not wanting to do only one thing, do you think that is essential to that?
What, having a job that, sorry, say it again?
Do you think that having a job that supports what you do is essential to wearing multiple hats, and the key to that?
Yeah, I wholly agree because one, it has to support you financially and it has to support you kind of emotionally. So
Right.
you might not love your job. Maybe your job is like you do sales at Dunder Mifflin doing paper, right? And paper is probably not your passion, but you know, you don't hate it. You enjoy the environment is comfortable, you know, and like it gets you through. If you're in a miserable environment, I think that's where most people are when they're like, I can't wait to quit my job. Like they're somewhere they're miserable, you know?
Mm.
Sorry, I can't deal with these comments. Anyway, so there's somewhere they're miserable. If you're somewhere you're just at least comfortable, you can stay at, and that helps you in the beginning stages, you know? You
Right.
need money to do this stuff, to be honest. Even if you're doing it as low budget as I am, like I almost don't pay for nothing,
Mm.
but you still need money. Like I needed to buy a good camera. The other day my tripod broke and I needed to buy a new tripod, you know? So like you do need to be able to fund yourself until this stuff takes off. I would like it to be a side hustle, you know? So I want it to make money for me and you know bring in supplemental income. I don't know if I'd ever be at the phase where not necessarily if it could, you know, fund my salary for a year, I would love it. But I don't necessarily want to be doing it full time and put all my time into it just because other things do fulfill me.
Mm. That makes sense. I also want to add to that, to how you describe that, is that sometimes we romanticize our side hustles and we think, you know, like if I could just do this all the time. But when we have
Yep.
our full time, we're only doing the most enjoyable aspect of our side hustle. And so
Yeah.
when you're going full time, then you gotta, you know, you have to be the CFO, you have to be the operations person, you have to make sure your taxes and your books are straight, you have to,
Mhm.
you know, I needed an editor earlier, you know, from me sending you the flyer, you know, my sweet spot is my creating the content and brainstorming and building the relationships. That's my jam.
We all
But
like. We hate the business part of
right,
it.
we hate the business part, we hate the dirty part, but
Admin.
that's what is kind of overlooked when you have a full time. So I just want to throw that out there for anybody that's like, you know, fuck this full time. I'm about to hop into, you know, I'm about to be blogger of the year, et cetera, et cetera. You got to look at the whole grind and not just the parts that
Mhm.
you like, as someone who is getting a regular paycheck. So thank you for bringing us to that point. Um, so how do you stay motivated? Because I know if you have a full-time job that pays the bills and you're passionate about it, it's hard. You talked about having to buy the tripod, and I saw you making moves, you know, having to be other places and show up for, you know, publicity opportunities, and sometimes you just don't feel like it. So what keeps you going for an unpaid or I'm not gonna say unpaid, a lower paying hustle? Right. What keeps you motivated to keep both?
Yeah,
Or
so
draw to both, rather.
yeah, so with the blog, it's definitely become such a strong part of me. Like, so I think I started this blog in 2014. I think that sounds right. And there was like a whole year where I didn't blog. Like, I was just going through a lot. And like the whole year, I just kept thinking about like, I should be blogging right now. You know, like it just stuck with me. Like, it just didn't go away. Even though everything on my world was just turned upside down, I always kept thinking about the blog and like things I would want to write if I only had the like, you know, if I was only in the right headspace to do it. And when I kind of got out of that funk that I was in, it really just was like, wow, this is really what you love to do because you're passionate about this topic enough. So I think the passion motivates me. Um, Definitely being a lot more forgiving with myself. So, you know, I see some bloggers, they putting out like 3, 4 blogs a week, you know, and I'm not there. I can't do that. Like, it's very hard to put out that level of consistency. But what I can do is put out a high level of quality when I do put something out. Right. So like being forgiving with myself. So you're not going to be the person who posts like 4 blogs, 4 full-length blogs a week. You're not going to be the person who even maybe can post like 7 Instagram posts a week sometimes, you know. That allowed me to really step back, and also that things aren't always going to be perfect, you know. So it's okay. Like I would write these blog posts and then they would sit in queue for like 3 weeks because I haven't had a time to like fully edit them, like, you know, check for typos. Now I'm kind of like, all right, if it's maybe like 80% good, it's good enough. It has to get out. Like, and most times the content itself is good enough that like, okay, 1 or 2 typos here and there. And I always catch them after I publish. So that's kind of like also my saving grace. It's like, I know I'm going to see it. It's just like, I can't see it right now because it's in the save folder. So that really has helped me push through, just being very forgiving with myself and be like, you know, it's supposed to be fun, keep it fun. As long as it's still fun, I'm going to be motivated. And then also I have a job that really lends itself to that kind of lifestyle. So before I was working a job where I was working late hours, my commute was 2 hours long each way. Like, don't talk. It's listen, this life. That's why I got a job that I can afford like a railroad pass so I can get to work in like 30 minutes. Like there's so many things I had to modify in this new job that I really negotiated with them because I had this in mind. Like I need to be able to do both. So that's how I kind of stay motivated on both.
So what I'm hearing is that, you know, you made space for it. Like, even though it's not your bread and butter, you still made room for it. And that's powerful because a lot of people, they just, again, use their creative hustle as an outlet, but they don't think about, you know, how's it going to realistically fit with what I have going on. You also talked about something that happens to a lot of creatives, which is, you know, falling off of your game for a little while, like taking for whatever personal reasons, health, laziness, whatever, just not producing and letting your brand go dormant. I've been there, felt guilty about it, abandoned ship, came back at the end of last year into this year. I'm sure a lot of people have been there. What are some ways or something that you did to kind of pull yourself out of that and really hop back into your brand full-fledged?
Yeah, so one thing I did was I kind of gave myself a refresh, right? So one of the first things I did when I started back my blog, I was like, all right, this design is like 2 years old. I want to start over. So I redesigned the blog. And I did little things like, so for example, my old blog format, it used to show you the date of the last post, right? I took all those dates off. You can't see when I did my last post. I just want you to come to the website and enjoy the content. Don't be like, oh, she hasn't posted in 2 months. Doesn't matter. Content is irrelevant, right?
Right.
So those are small things that like started to make me feel better. It was a real kind of, I think I like hit the ground running and I didn't make a big fuss out of it. I wasn't like, oh, it's been a year and I'm back, you know, because I didn't want to set myself up to, if I say, okay, it's been a year and I'm back, I have to stay back, right? Just in case I fell out of it again, I just kind of started just posting. I just came back, almost like how Beyonce does, you know, when she doesn't post for a few months and then bam, she got an album. You know, because I am me and her on the same wave. But yeah, so I think, yeah, giving myself a redesign, just being like not setting anybody's expectations of like, all right, we're back, I'm gonna be posting, you know, this much a week, you're gonna get a newsletter. I don't promise anything to anyone, you know. This is like when I can do it, I'm gonna do it and it's gonna be great. But don't come knocking for me if I haven't posted in 2 weeks. I see a lot of YouTubers complain about that. They're like, we haven't seen you in 2 weeks. No, don't come knocking for me. So that's kind of how I kind of keep it going. And there's even been some times where like since I've come back and been more consistent that maybe I took like 3 weeks off. Part of that is like, okay, you know, my blog is about my hair. and my hair sometimes doesn't look great. And if it don't look great, I don't have any content, unfortunately, you
Right.
know? So it's really kind of unfortunate that I picked such a visual me topic, but like it really is about it. And sometimes I'll post something else, you know, whatever. But if I don't have anything to post, if I look crazy, you're not going to get it. And you just got to bear with me. And I hope that the algorithm forgives me when I decide to come back. And sometimes it does. Sometimes it's like you got to sacrifice a little more. But yeah.
And to that point, if you're just joining us, I'm chatting with Alicia Davis, founder of Cubicles and Curls, professional career and natural hair blog. She's also 2017 and 2018
Yeah.
Miss New York. And she is the first Miss Black and Natural New York. And we've just been chatting about, you know, everything from IG's unforgiving algorithm to bouncing back from taking a brand hiatus, and balancing having a full-time that you're passionate about and an amazing side hustle such as Cubicles and Curls. So I want to shift a little bit and talk about your experiences with Miss Black and Natural New York.
Mm-hmm.
Process like because I want to just say, like, being like a Miss anything, you know, people think, or at least for me, I imagine a Beyonce ass person, like, you know, like just imagine like that.
Yeah.
So polished and so perfect and so, you know, just like I cure cancer in like Istanbul, or, you know, you have to have like all these accolades and credentials,
And then you get me.
and not to, and that is not like a, you know,
Oh, I know.
no, that's not what that is. I'm saying that you are a realistic, accessible person with a full-time job, and you are doing a lot of things. So how do you make it happen? Like, what was that Miss Black and Natural process like?
Yeah, so I've been wanting to do this for a while. This pageant didn't exist for very long. It's maybe like 3 years old.
Right.
But I wanted to enter in a pageant sometime in my 20s. I did one in college and I thought that was really fun. And I was like, I want to do that again. And so I'd been seeing this pageant pop up on my Instagram for a while. So I looked into it. It was based in Houston, right? But they were expanding to other states. So in expanding to other states, they had more of like a virtual process. So, you know, they did more interviews. They focused on what will you do as Miss Black and Natural, like really trying to get to know personalities. So I didn't necessarily have to do the competition, as you know, on the stage. Could have went down to Houston, but I think I wasn't working at the time. So I was like, well, can't afford that. But really and truly, it's been a really great experience getting to know the other girls who won in their different states, working with my director to find opportunities to appear at, talking to her about bringing the pageant to New York, because I really want to bring it to New York and even DC too, where I think there'd be a lot of interest. But it's been a good experience. This weekend I was in Denver. I got invited to there's like a natural hair after school program that focuses on STEM. So I know they were so cute. I got invited to play a forensic game with them. You know, like we did like a game where they had to like learn to lift fingerprints and like figure out who stole the hair gel, right? So like it was like really adorable. So like, you know, I get opportunities like that. Like people want me to come to their events. I did a speaking event where I spoke at Sisters in Power. I think I was speaking on I don't remember what I was speaking on. I think I was speaking on like, you know, kind of like coming from failure a little bit, like, and rising out of that. Or sorry, having a plan and the plan going to shit, basically.
Right.
That's my speech. And coming back from that. So
Oh my God.
are you still there?
Yeah. Okay. I stopped at so.
Oh, I don't remember anything I said after that.
Well, you did your speech and then.
Yeah. Oh yes, I did my speech, and then I have just a lot of things coming up in the pipeline. So I do like speaking events, like small group. I can do conferences. I'm working with trying to connect with the local universities to come to like their clubs, like, you know, whether they have women empowerment clubs. A lot of universities have curly hair clubs. So just really to promote natural hair and Black womanhood. That's what I'm working on with this title. And it fits seamlessly with my brand, obviously, but
Right.
I like having that extra arm of, you know, there is some, honestly, there is some legitimacy behind having like the title and the crown and all that stuff. So it really has connected me with a lot more people, and I'm able to do a lot more with this platform.
Right. That's so dope. So what I'm hearing from this, and as a nod to the other aspects of our conversation, focusing on the oversaturated natural hair culture, that there's a lot of layers to it. There's a lot of things that's happening. Like you're entering this conversation under, I guess, the content guise of natural hair, but what you're really talking about, you touched on STEM, you touched on women's empowerment, you touched on career development. Um, you touched on, emotional support and wellness and community. So there's so many reasons why the natural hair movement and natural hair content is so pervasive, and is so, it feels like it's everywhere because it touches more deeply than we realize. Even for me, who is, I feel like I'm a natural hair advocate. I'm all about being in that gang. Um, like, I never thought about the fact that I'm so connected to it is because it connects with me as a woman. So thank you for that. Were you worried about colorism or hairism or even influencerism, like, not being the Beyonce of the natural hair community or something? Was that a concern for you in pursuing this opportunity?
So I'm very socio-political, and I'm very aware that colorism exists and all these other discriminations. I'm like almost hyper aware about it, except when it's like happening to me, like for some reason I have that blind spot in that I know it happens in the world and I can point it out, but if it's happened to me, I don't think I pick up on it.
Right.
My first pageant experience, I remember someone had said that to me. They're like, "Oh, you're the only dark skinned girl out of 6." And I almost didn't notice. And that was the day of the competition that they said that to me. They were like, "Oh, like, aren't you worried?" And it didn't even cross my mind until that point. Um, so I would say that I didn't really think about it as much. But in retrospect, once I saw who the winners were, I was like very surprised because the one from Houston, she has locks, which is something that often gets left out of the natural hair community, period. Some of the other winners, they range from like dark skin to light skin, like really like loose curls to kinky curls. So it wasn't something, and it wasn't necessarily something. So once I saw that, I was kind of confirmed, like, okay, this is something that's inclusive. They're not really trying to like pick a certain type of girl. Right. And I did worry though about like, influencer status. And that's something I was thinking about when we do it in New York. Like, is that something we want to field against? Like, if I can't think of who in New York, like if Hey Fran Hey wants to join the competition, right, does that make sense? It's kind of like setting everybody else up. So I don't know. That I think that was probably the one thing that did worry about me, like maybe my brand's not big enough, so and so. But I think the colorism isn't something I thought about until after the fact, but I don't think it necessarily came into play for our competition.
Okay. And you think that is specific to this competition, that this one happened to be diverse, or would you, or do you feel like maybe if it was a different opportunity or a different, I guess, committee creating a competition, that you might have faced those challenges?
Yeah, I think it all really depends. I think my director, she is a dark skinned woman. She actually has like, a Caesar cut. So I think she kind of has an approach from a different angle of like, we're taking all types. I don't know if she was as intentional about it, like we're going to pick different looking girls, but it ended up being that way. But I do think I know in the natural hair community, there's a lot of complaints that light skin type 3 girls, they get all the brand opportunities, and people with more kinky hair, they don't. If your hair is short, you're not really getting as much opportunity as if your hair is like big and long and can't even fit in the camera screen. So I do know that is something that is big. Again, I think it's something that I'm probably not aware might be happening to me.
Right.
Just because it's you just don't think about it, but I do know that it's something in the space that is a big deal and happens a lot.
Okay, Thank you. And I noticed a couple people have just entered this conversation. I'm chatting with Alicia Davis, founder of Cubicles and Curls, Natural Hair and Career blog, and Miss Black and Natural 2017 and 18. And she's also a Form Beauty ambassador. So can you talk to us? Go ahead, do your plug. What's Form Beauty? Why should we rock with it?
So Form Beauty is a new hair care line. It was started over the summer, and I found out about them actually when I went to their launch party. It was invite only, and a friend slipped me an invite that I wasn't supposed to have. So I kind of just like snuck on in there. But basically, it's made by Walker and Company, which is Tristan Walker's beauty brand. Tristan Walker does Bevel, which is a shaving system for men. So now he has for the women this kind of natural hair line. It's called Form Beauty because you go on the line and there's a form that you fill out, and the form asks you several questions about your hair, your environment. And what I like is that it doesn't ask you about your hair type, you know? So they might ask you if your hair is fine or coarse, but they're not going to ask you if you're 4C or 3A because it really doesn't matter in how products work. So they'll ask you, like, is it cold where you live? Is it humid? Is it dry? You know, do you have color damage? Do you straighten your hair? And they recommend which of their products they think you should use. That being said, they only have, I think, about 11 products. So where the personal, which I kind of like, which the personalization comes in is like, okay, for conditioners, do you need the one for moisture? Or do you need the one for damage? For our stylers, do you need something for wash and goes? Oh, they ask you how you normally wear your hair. So do you need something for wash and goes? Do you need something to slick back your hair? Do you need something for twist outs? Or do you need a heat protectant for when you straighten your hair? So I really like that they were able to distill almost all the issues within the natural hair community down to 11 products. And they all work so well. Because I know other lines will have like a million different, you know, product offerings for different types. And I mean, I know you know who I'm talking about.
Yes.
You know, and they all kind of like, okay, yeah. But I think they really distilled down the product. And one thing they always say to us is that, like, you know, this product was made from your feedback, you know? And I really can see that because the first time I used it, everything worked so well, you know, because a lot of new brands, I was worried like, all right, you know, they're going to have some bumps in the road. They got to figure it out. But they started off just knowing exactly what they're doing. So I tried their products after the launch. We got all the products for free in the gift bag. And I was literally just in the shower, just shocked at like how my hair was feeling. After that, a few months later, they came up with the ambassador program and I signed right up because I was like, if I'm going to be an ambassador, it needs to be something that I can like hype up with some real genuine feelings. And I have a lot of great feelings toward the product. Yep.
So we are going to continue the conversation about taking on sponsorships and being a brand ambassador and producing content around that. But I do want to pause here. We have 1 minute and 10 seconds left in this Instagram live session. So I'm going to restart it. I hope that you all rejoin us. We're chatting with Alicia Davis. She is the founder of Cubicles and Curls, the career and hair inspiration blog, and we are having an awesome conversation. So when I restart it, please, please, please rejoin the conversation.
Okay. All right.
Hey, hey.
Okay.
Hey. Thank you to everybody who is rejoining this conversation. Again, we've already talked on we've already talked about a lot in the first half of this conversation. We talked about Alicia's experiences as Miss Black and Natural New York. We talked about, you know, how she balances having a full time and her side hustle, Cubicles and Curls, the natural hair and career blog that she has founded. And we also talked about, you know, her role and her involvement in the natural hair community and things that she's noticed and her insider insight into that. Where we left off and kicking off this second half of the conversation is getting into how she became a Form Beauty brand ambassador. She told us a lot of good stuff about Form and how it's personalized. Wanted to make a quick marketing note there. That's another trend in marketing, is really making personalized experiences. So if you have a service, really think about who you're serving and how you can make the experience of the products unique to those who select it. As a side note, so continuing in this conversation about becoming a brand ambassador. So you told us how you got there and why you chose to be a Form Beauty ambassador. But what does that, are you able to tell us, you might not be at liberty, but are you able to tell us like what exactly that means, like what you have to do as a Form Beauty ambassador?
Yeah, of course. So basically, so I just want to make it clear, like being an ambassador is different than being sponsored,
Okay.
right? So when you're sponsored, a company, they'll give you kind of like a payment up front. And you know, you promote their products and you don't necessarily have to have a return on the investment, just like, you know, they pay you to promote. Being an ambassador is kind of as it sounds, right? So I'm telling people about the product. They have social media challenges for us to do. So, you know, they'll say like, hey, post a video where you're styling your hair using the product, so and so. You know, I have a discount code. It's actually Cubicles and Curls. It's in my bio. You know, you should, you know, go and click it. But so basically the way I make money off of this is when people use my discount code, right? So I'm recommending to people like, hey, this is this product. It works for me. This is how I use it. I only make money if people use a discount code, right?
Okay.
But the brand is still getting awareness out there from, you know, my videos, from me using it, from me talking about it. So that's kind of how the ambassadorship works. They will have campaigns for us. So I just did a Sephora campaign where I was in Sephora and I was telling people about the product, like, hey, it's in Sephora, it's online, this is how you use it. I use it in my hair. So that's kind of what the ambassadorship entails. I don't know if you had a second part to your question.
No, that's actually very, very helpful for you as a person who is creating content for a community. People who look to you, they look at you like a person and they look to your day-to-day experiences to be authentic. Do you have a preference over which you prefer? Like, do you prefer to be sponsored? Do you prefer to take on ambassadorships? And do you have a hard line that you draw when taking on basically paid or compensated opportunities?
Yeah, so I think a mix of both sponsored and ambassadorships are good. I kind of like the ambassadorships in that it forces me to kind of like really get to know the products and really think about like, you know, my truth of why I really like it and recommend it. And I'm talking about it over time versus like a one and done video. Me personally, I know people have a lot of issues with paid content because there is this kind of stigma that it's not genuine. However,
Right.
I know that myself and a lot of bloggers I know who take on these paid content opportunities, they usually don't take on opportunities that they don't believe in. So I've been blogging for about 3 years and I've never done an ambassadorship. I've been invited to do many, but I was like, if I'm not going to use all your products or if I don't really like, if I have to fake the funk, basically I can't do it, you know? Like I want to be able to do it authentically. So when I found out about this, I was like, this is something that I will sing to, like, you know, I will sing their praises all day long. And that just comes naturally, whether they pay me or not. And I think I'm very much that kind of person who, like, when I really love something, I tell everyone about it.
Right.
To the point where I'm like, I feel like, you know, you always do say that, like, oh, you know, someone's telling you something like, man, do they pay you? They should sometimes, you know? The way I'm like singing your praises, like, you know, it's nice to get a little piece of the pie. Like I basically get like $1 on every sale, so it's not that much, but
Right.
I do like, you know, getting a little like reward for actually being the type of person who naturally, you know, shares with the world when I love something. But yeah, so I think like as long as things fit with my brand and there's something I actually like and do endorse and I would endorse them for free, that's kind of how I pick on partnership opportunities.
Okay, so what I'm seeing in there, two things I want to highlight is that there's a gem in there. So if you are listening to this and you have the opportunity or would like to take on sponsorships or ambassadorships. One way you can do it authentically is to promote products that you actually like, and asking yourself, as Alicia did, like if I did not get any return on any financial return on this, or even just a product return on this, would I still promote this product? If the answer is yes, then I think based on Alicia's experience, you can authentically take that on. So thank you for that insight. And you've also got a question from Nikita Hoyasaxa, another Georgetown homie. She says, do you feel pressure to give a certain type of review of the products?
No.
I didn't scroll down.
Yeah. No, but in general, I don't say bad things about people. Like, I'm not here to bash anyone. If I have something bad to say, I'm not going to say it, I'm not going to give good reviews. Like, even in everything I do, there is a negative to every single service I've tried. Like, I've talked about salons, I've talked about Forum. Even with Forum, I've talked about okay, out of all their products, they all work well, but the shampoos are meh, not meh, but they just work regular. You don't need to buy a $28 shampoo that just works regular, to be honest, So I'm always gonna be honest about hey, this is what I didn't like, this is what I do like. And I almost purposely, when I'm taking on an ambassador project or a sponsored thing, I almost actively okay, let me talk about the negatives too, because I want people to know that this is my fair and unbiased review, even more so than when I just do something for free. I'll talk about the negatives a little more just to give people that full picture. I just think being authentic, nobody's perfect. I want to give, if I don't feel like I can talk positively about your brand, I'm not gonna write for you. That's just is what it is. So yeah.
Okay. That is extremely helpful. So in your journey with Cubicles and Curls, you've had two that I know of, and you could speak to others, but you've had two opportunities: the Foreign Beauty Ambassadorship and the pageant. That what people would think I'm not gonna apply. I don't have 1 million followers, or I don't do crazy numbers with a post. How'd you get out of that thinking, and how'd you do a lot without a super huge following?
I'm a shoot your shot kind of girl. I know I don't have 1 million followers. I think I just got to 1,000 at the end of last year, and I was so hyped. I was like, I got 1,000 followers. I'm legitimate now. I'm very much I'm gonna always shoot my shot. The pageant thing I applied to, and I was surprised when I won. I was like, oh, okay. Foreign Beauty, I applied. I see the opportunities all the time that are almost a little too big for me, but I'm like, I'm gonna do it, because I think this whole follower thing, I could probably grow my following bigger if I really, if I was doing it full time and I could really dedicate to it. But I like having a smaller audience for now, in that I feel like could really connect to almost maybe 30% of my followers, I know them. If I saw them on the street, I would recognize them. I'm in their comments, they're in my comments. Whereas I know if I were to get bigger, that kind of gets, you get tuned out to that because you're getting so much notifications. So personally, I think that I lost my train of thought. I forgot what we were talking about. Because smaller bloggers. So yeah, there's value in that. So I have 1,200 followers, and usually on a post I get 200 likes or 100 likes. That's a good 10, almost 20% of my following,
Right.
So even though my following is small, my engagement is live. People are really resonating with it, and that's more important to me than having huge numbers on the followers. If I could get both, that'd be even great. But right now, I'm focused on the people who are with me now. I want them to really rock with me. I want them to be real fans. I want them to hear what they're going through and create content for them. So I'm not worried about the following right now. I still get a lot of opportunities because I can prove that all right, I have a small following, but they're all hyped about me, and what we're doing. So I think that matters more.
That is so essential, and I'm so glad that you were able to speak to that, because that goes back to the first half of episode 1, where I went on my rant about the way that you move past the Instagram algorithm. You talked about so much about basically everything that I was speaking to, having an actual community, talking to your followers, knowing them, knowing about them, participating in their content. All of that is absolutely essential. And I think also you pointed to, you know, building a niche following. Like, you know, having people, it's one thing to have a lot of followers, but if you don't get any, like, they don't interact with your stuff, or you bought them all and your engagement is super low.
Or
like,
they're all like bundles, brands, hair bundles.
right? I get a lot of those.
I get a lot of those.
And I don't know what I'm doing. Like, what about this says that I want, like, the weave company? Anyway, so I'm not going to get into that. But yes, like, everything that you said is essential as creators and influencers try to figure out, okay, what am I going to do about this Instagram thing? Everything that you spoke to is so essential to getting past that and into being a brand that matters beyond any app, any platform.
Mm-hmm.
We kicked it heavy. Like, we really, really got through a lot, and I'm so thankful that you were able to spend a little bit extra time. And I want to say thank you to the audience that's viewing this, because the State of the Union's on, and it's 9:00 on a Tuesday, which is usually Monday part 2, and y'all are still with us. So thank y'all so much. As we shift to the close, what do you think is next for the natural hair content and natural hair communities?
Yeah, so I definitely think right now the natural hair community and a lot of online communities, we're getting offline. So we're having events like Curl Fest, we're having meetups, we're really just kind of getting to know each other. Sorry, we're getting to know the comments there. We're getting to know each other in the real world. So I think like being able to, because I mean, at this point, the content is available. Like Natural Hair One-on-One is available online if you want it. So I think like upping the ante and like, all right, this is what we're doing with our hair now. These are new styles. We're meeting out in the public. We're really connecting over Blackness and like, you know, being Black women and whatever struggles and positives come with that. So I think that's where the movement's going. I think we have to forget that I kind of forget that I'm an advanced natural and that there's still people who, you know, need a little help along the way. I know I can't even deal with this is hilarious.
Oh my God.
What can I use to get my hair popping like Lenny Kravitz? You can use Form Beauty's multitask leave-in. It's great. And that's my only plug for the day.
Oh my gosh, y'all are a mess. I love it. Y'all keep going with the comments. So meeting up, being together in real time, unplugging, getting past beginner natural hair content. I love that, and I think that if you
use Cantu's bad.
Yeah,
it's not bad, but
I've never known. I only know one person that likes Cantu, and they live in a arid environment, so that might have.
It's certain places that it works for. It doesn't work in humid places like New York. I don't know anyone that. I mean, they have good styling products. Let me take it back. But in terms of moisture, I don't think they do good job.
I don't know about their styling products either, because I had a fail, and I was in like year 2 of being natural, so that's kind of like
it's a part of the starter pack. Natural hair starter pack is Cantu, Shea Moisture, Cow's Daughter.
Oh no, I still like Shea Moisture.
I do. I like their Jamaican black castor oil stuff.
Yes. Okay, I can't do this. We gotta stop, because then I'm gonna be like, no, because I use the
Yeah, no. That's me. Like I've been the product junkie. I've tried almost everything. Miss Jessie's doesn't work for me. Sorry, someone said it.
Every time I usually type what I do for natural. See, I'm doing it, and I said I wouldn't do it, but what I do is I type in whenever a product or a technique or whatever comes out, I type in 4C product, 4C finger coils, 4C Miss Jessie's curly pillow soft pudding meringue pie, whatever it is.
I have 4C hair. Like, girl, you don't have 4C hair.
Okay, we're not about to do that either. We're not going to turn this into the natural hair hub.
Yes, I know, but we'll talk about that offline. But anyway, I think a lot of us feel like we call our hair 4C because the struggle is real and like it takes a million hours to detangle it, and it can, like, my hair does get 4C-ish, but
your hair is 4B.
Yeah, no. Someone even told me I was a 3A, and I was like,
You
interesting.
might. Okay, I was trying to be generous by saying 4B, but you really, I didn't want to. It's like because I knew you were going to be like, no, because
But
so
see, I used to say I was like, yeah, I'm a 4A, 4B, and then I was like, once someone really looked at my hair, they're like, no, you're not. In the back, I think I have a lot of tighter textures, and I
okay.
think there's also like I get nervous about saying that because you see type 3 girls and they usually look a certain way, and I feel like if I don't look that way, I don't want anyone to be like, oh, you played yourself, you thought you were. So like I think I always got nervous about that. And I also think that there's this weird thing when you see a dark skinned girl, you automatically think her hair is kinkier than it is. And when you see a
Yeah,
light girl, you think her hair is looser than it is, even though
yeah.
it be like the same texture. And I don't know what that is, but it's just an automatic reaction. And you have to take a step back and be like, oh wait, oh, okay, I guess.
Um, well, can I? So Nikita wants to know how do you feel about the hair porosity test? Um, I personally think it changed the way that I treated my hair once
Mm-hmm.
I did how it worked.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but you could, as someone in the space, what were your thoughts on it, Alicia?
Yeah, so I didn't do the like hair strand in water kind of thing. I did more so there was a service called My Ivana and they do hair testing. So they like tested out the coarseness of my hair. They did their own like, porosity test. I don't know what it entailed. And I found out I had high porosity hair. And it really did change the way I started dealing with my hair and that I'm like, okay, I know why when I put something in my hair, why the moisture is gone in like 2 seconds, right? So I need something a little more thicker. I don't do the lock method because I feel like I don't wash my hair often enough to, for that to work out, but I needed to shift my products, right? It needs to be something that can really get in my strands and seal itself. So it really just changed how I did my hair in terms of moisturizing it. It also caused me to kind of lower my manipulation because part of the reason some people have high porosity hair is usually related to like some sort of damage. So I think I was manipulating my hair too much because I didn't use heat, I didn't have color. So like really just playing with it too much, I think was causing that, or it could just be genetic, right? But I do think understanding why your hair is retaining or not retaining moisture does wonders. I think after I figured that out, my hair started coming back on the up and up. And I really started, seeing the growth that I've been wanting.
And if you are not familiar, and you were listening to this conversation, the hair porosity test is basically checking how porous your hair is by taking a strand of it and putting it into a cup of water. If the strand floats, your hair is high porosity. If the strand sinks, your hair is low porosity. And if it hovers in the middle, your hair is normal porosity. And
Mm-hmm.
it basically helps determine how your hair might respond to certain products
Mm-hmm.
and whether or not, as Alicia pointed out, if you needed to do any types of treatments or shifts in your regimen.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's helpful. I wouldn't, as with many, like even hair typing and all that stuff, like don't get too caught up in it because
Right.
then you like make
It's
yourself.
piece of the puzzle, it's like one aspect that could be, and it changes over time. So if you have heat damage,
Right.
you might have high porosity hair. Once you grow it out and it's healthy, it might be low, just naturally genetically. So it's just an extra piece of information to help you figure out what's going on with your hair and what you need.
Absolutely. Um, So we are going to shift into our real clothes. That was like a fake clothes.
Oh.
We're going to shift into our real clothes. I love the questions that are coming in. I love y'all tonight. Y'all were hilarious audience. If you had, what else should we look out for? Actually, from you, from as a health professional, health and tech professional, or cubicles and curls, or Form Beauty, or Miss Black New York. I'm sorry, Miss Black and Natural New York. What else look out for from you?
So right now I'm in the middle of kind of strategizing phase. So like I recently just hired a PR person to kind of help me get out there. I'm looking to kind of co-write on a lot more other platforms. But on my own blog, I'm really delving into the whole video aspect of it. Like I enjoy writing and I think that's really great for like the career talk. But when it comes to hair, it kind of got to a point where I realized it's a little hard to write about. I'd rather just show it, you know? So I started my YouTube and I'm growing it. If you go to Cubicles and Curls, you can find the YouTube page on there. I don't have a link yet because YouTube is a hater and they only give you the good features once you reach a certain number of subscribers. Such haters. But anyway, yeah, Trust Noir. Oh, that's something I use and I love them. I've done a few campaigns with them and they've been great. Trust Noir is an at-home styling thing. So they'll come to your house, they'll do your hair in your house. It's been my favorite. But yeah, so I have the blogging stuff that is coming down the pipeline. I don't have any events, but this month I was kind of collaborating with a lot of other creators. So I collaborated with you. I did the podcast with the New York Dose. They're a podcast in New York. They highlight New York millennials doing dope stuff. I did a video with Intel, Intelle. She's a career coach. And we talked about, you know, natural hair and authenticity in the workplace. So she has a video, I think, on her page. So right now I'm doing a lot of collaborations. I'm working on some events, but I don't have any in the pipeline, and the YouTube. So those are my big 3. And then also Form Beauty, obviously. I'm an ambassador. Check the link for the promo code. Gotta plug it.
All good stuff. Awesome. I like that, you know, you started, when I asked you what was next, you started with the strategy. So anybody who's listening, if you're making your plans, you're making your moves, money moves or not, content moves, whatever, always root them in strategy. So don't just jump at an opportunity just to jump at it. Like, make sure that it's serving your brand and serving your mission, as Alicia done here. Give us your handles. Where can we support you? Where can we pay you? Where can we give you money?
Yes. So Cubicles and Curls, that's my Instagram. You guys can see it here. On Twitter, I'm Cubicles Curls. I don't have enough characters to get the and yet. My website is cubiclesandcurls.com. And I think those are my main places. I'm also on the YouTube. You can find that. I don't have a direct link. It's kind of complicated to say it. Am I anywhere else? You can check out blackandnaturalpageant.org to see me and the other queens on there. And yeah, I think that's mostly where I am, and at your neighborhood curly events usually.
I love it. Thank you so much for your time. Before we dip off, I'm going to go ahead and do a few shout outs of my own. This past weekend, I went to Charismatic Creations 1-year anniversary cocktail party. That is a mobile bartending service based in the DMV. Charismatic Creations. If you type that into Instagram, go follow it, go support them. I'm the resident homegirl on the Court Report podcast. That can be tapped into at LaCourt on Instagram. So LE_COURT. Go follow and support and listen to her podcast as well. And the cult list will be up in your Instagram feed tomorrow morning. That is a roundup of things that I find dope and cool. We're focusing on opportunities. So it'll be available tomorrow. This CultTV episode will be in my Linktree link. So the link in my bio will have this episode in it, hopefully before Thursday. So there's that. So go there. And if you tap my Linktree, I have like my blog stuff. I have CultTV episodes, and I have the cult list, all that good stuff. That's all there. And thank you, Asia. Beard correspondent. Y'all wow.
I do. Like, the men are always asking me, like, how do I grow a beard? I was like, let me tell you about this baby smooth face I got. I don't know how to grow facial hair, but I know a lot of guys keep asking about it, and it's something that I'm working for. I do put some, like, men's stuff on my blog. Like, I'll review men's products. I think I did, like, Jay Carter had something. So if you're a man and you have natural hair or natural beard, you can write for me too. Just DM me.
Right. So, gentlemen, I recently found out that 60% of my audience is men. Surprisingly, I didn't think that would be the case. But anyway, since y'all watching, go ahead and apply to be a beard correspondent for Cubicles and Girls. And I want to stay and talk to y'all, but that's the end of the show. So, y'all next Tuesday, and you can see this full episode in my Instagram bio.
Yay! I'm excited. Thank you for having me. Thank you for everyone who joined. All my people that I texted, like, come onto I sent people your direct link.
Yes. Thank you so much. That's community, y'all. Mm-hmm. Getting beyond just having followers, like tapping into people you know and making sure that you know people. So thank you.
Yeah. All right.
Bye.